There was no consent, so how about we just to sort.
Ndio ilifanya nikajua my power ya kuwrite. So I can perform, if I'm not wrong, 3 hours or 3 hours 30 minutes my own composition.
Okay, dai kwambia dem na kulove, unamwambia na kulombotov. Nakulombotov. Bala, usikivitia. Ukitaka kwambia msee na kuhate, unamwambia mimi na kuhembetete.
This song is dope. These guys are back.
They are back.
Napozama kwa tatizo oja, ngori na bala haziwezi kwa reality. Can't let me life stay away oja. Captain of my life, father steer me back to sanity.
Kupata lazima nishike kama sikiza tune yako. Bonyeza *811 *962 hash.
Lazima nishike mapema. Nisiposhika simu mapema utakasirika. Unajua mimi nikiwa mtu ya marathon najua niko na experience kabisa. Niko na experience. If you don't hurry, you will not break the record. Okay, wacha nishike simu.
Kupata lazima nishike, bonyeza *811 *962 hash. *811 *962 hash.
This could be you, your sister, brother, daughter, son, or a friend. Say no to gender-based violence. Report any form of violence to toll-free number 1195 or to the nearest police station. Be a hero and be safe. This message is brought to you by the government of Kenya.
Asante. Hii ng'ombe itatoa maziwa mengi kabisa. Sasa shida ya school fees imeisha tena. Chukua hii. Hebu nikuulize, hii maneno nasikia ya bima ya elimu inaweza kuonekana mtu ana process ya kuchukua insurance kama yote ni rahisi. Hata niko na kama ya gari yangu. Kwanza unajaza proposal form kama hii na uijaze wewe mwenyewe. Na kama haujui kusoma, uijaze na mtu mwingine. Hakikisha ile majibu umepatiana ni sahihi na ni ya kweli. Pia thibitisha insurance cover imeangalia maslahi yako. Na usiwahi sign proposal form ambayo haijaandikwa chochote. Pia ukumbuke kujitolea photocopy yako. Sasa wacha nianze hiyo process.
By the way, ukisubmit hiyo proposal form, uhakikishe umepatiwa policy document. Uisome na uielewe. Hiyo ndio dhibitisho ya kuwa unapiva.
Wherever you're watching us in Nairobi, Kenya, and around the globe, good evening. This is KBC Prime Edition. We bring you a 360 look at the day's top stories, beginning right now with our headline stories. IEBC gives 48-hour deadline for clearance of 2,000 signatures in 24 counties.
Within the first 100 days, we will eliminate all hurdles and we will bring the 23 milk coolers for the people of Kiambu.
Wooing milk farmers. Deputy President Ruto promises to give coolers for Kiambu farmers if elected president.
We want to work together with the church so that our people can be able to realize their potentials.
Count yourselves in. Raila promises church a place in his administration should he win the August 9th poll. Welcome to this live broadcast. Our sign language interpreter is Byron Aboli. Our socials at KBC Channel 1. My Twitter handle is Mboya24. Hashtag is Prime Edition. Irene Muchuma was in Kiambu County where the Deputy President William Ruto promised that his government will put up 23 milk coolers in his first 100 days in office if elected. We are coming back to that story, but let's start off with this report here. A section of Wiper leaders want Kalonzo Musyoka to rethink his position and rejoin Azimio la Umoja. The leaders who met in Machakos say that the party is ready to give structured dialogue a chance before arriving at a decision on the way forward. They have, however, maintained that should the offer be made to Kalonzo by Raila Odinga turn out to be insignificant, then they will support Kalonzo Musyoka presidency. Here is that report that opens our coverage tonight.
Pressure is mounting on Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka to rejoin Azimio la Umoja and accept the chief minister slot promised by Azimio la Umoja presidential flag bearer Raila Odinga. A section of leaders under Wiper led by party organizing secretary Robert Mbui, while speaking in Machakos County, said they would only rejoin Azimio under structured dialogue.
Because we had already agreed to work under the Azimio One Kenya Alliance, that maybe it is time that we exhaust all the options that were available under the Azimio One Kenya Alliance, because there is a dispute resolution mechanism under that alliance. So we are asking our party leader that we do reconsider the possibility of having further discussions on this coalition arrangement.
Mbui is saying that the party jumped ship as it was not satisfied with the manner in which Azimio picked its running mate.
Later on, we believed that our party leader was going to be the deputy president. When that did not happen, as a party, and I want to make this clear, as a party, we positioned our party leader as a candidate for the elections so that we cannot be taken for a ride. Right now, already the offers that we are hearing are actually in the media. That I don't know how many kilometers of road, I don't know what percentage of government. All that we are reading in the media, we don't know. Our party leader has not received any document indicating what is the offer under One Kenya and Azimio arrangement.
The leaders, however, stated that should the offer tabled before them by the coalition party turn out to be dismal, they are willing to support Kalonzo in his quest to be president.
At the same time, we also do realize that there were some offers that may not have been given to us in good time. And so they were mentioned on the day that our party leader was also unveiling his candidate because we had disagreed on the way forward.
Nancy Okware, Prime Edition.
Well, on to that story where Deputy President Ruto is promising that his government will put up 23 milk coolers in Kiambu County in his first 100 days in office if he's elected president. During a tour of Kiambu and Murang'a counties, Ruto said 7 milk coolers are not sufficient to serve farmers in the two regions.
The Kenya Kwanza team Monday held an economic forum in Kiambu County before proceeding to Murang'a for political rallies. In Kiambu, the leaders who accompanied the Deputy President William Ruto told off their political rivals on their quest to fight graft.
It is the wearer of the shoe who knows where it pinches most. Ni kweli. Kwa hivyo nyinyi ndio mnakuja mnatuelezea kiatu inauma wapi.
The elections that are coming up are not an election about just William Ruto ama Raila na wengine. They are an election between Kenya moving forward differently or us remaining in the same place.
According to Kenya Kwanza leaders, the alliance is best suited to end corruption and foster national development.
We have an agenda for you. Partner with us, trust us, work with us, let's succeed together.
Tukichukua serikali tuweze kuweka maanani pesa ya biashara igawiwe kulingana na wingi wa Wakenya.
Tunataka tupunguze yale madeni, tupunguze VAT, tupunguze tax kwa fuel, tupunguze bei ya stima, tupunguze bei ya chakula kwa uchumi ambao unasimamiwa vizuri na serikali ya Kenya Kwanza ya Mheshimiwa William Samoei Ruto kama chief hustler.
Deputy President William Ruto said if elected to presidency, his government will reduce the cost of production for coffee, milk and tea, besides reviving stalled industries in Kiambu County.
Within the first 100 days, we will eliminate all hurdles and we will bring the 23 milk coolers for the people of Kiambu.
Your Excellency, the cost of food prices that is concerned to you and all of us and the people of Kenya, a lot of work is going on so that you have the proper advice, you have the proper interventions.
The DP later toured Murang'a Monday afternoon to sell the Alliance bottom-up manifesto. Kenya Kwanza leaders saying poverty eradication in the country is a collective response by people who hold integrity.
Kama wewe hauna mpango, sisi kama Kenya Kwanza tuko na mpango ya hawa vijana magraduate. Wengi wao hata wameacha ajira, wameanda kujiajiri.
The Kenya Kwanza Alliance continues to place itself as the champions for low-income earners in the country. The coalition vows to convince voters that if elected, it will benefit the vulnerable and the youth after the August elections.
Before we move away from politics, Azimio la Umoja presidential aspirant Raila Odinga has assured the church of a place in the management of the country's affairs should he form the next government. Raila says he recognizes the vital role religious leaders play in the successful running of any nation. Nancy Okware is on that report.
Azimio la Umoja presidential hopeful Raila Odinga on Monday met a group of church leaders from independent indigenous churches in Kiambu, accompanied by his running mate Martha Karua. Raila rallying the church leaders for their support for his presidential bid, pledging to give them a place in the management of the country's affairs should he be elected.
We want to work together with the church so that our people can be able to realize their potentials. And we have said that we want to deal with three major enemies of our people: ignorance, poverty, and disease.
Na ile mnapigania kama kanisa ndio tunapigania haki, kila mtu apate haki yake. Sana sana wanyonge wapate haki yao.
With regard to ignorance, that every child born in our country under the Azimio government will have equal opportunity to realize its potential.
Raila said the Azimio la Umoja is pegged on unifying the country and no one will be left behind in his administration.
That every child born in our country under the Azimio government will have equal opportunity to realize its potential. Equal opportunities from nursery through primary, secondary, tertiary, up to university level.
The Azimio leader underscoring the role played by women in leadership, hailing his running mate Martha Karua for her role in good governance and democracy.
Yeye tumekuwa naye katika vita ya ukombozi wa pili. Na yeye alikuwa anasimama imara wakati wengi wanaume walikuwa wanaogopa. Wakati ile ambaye simba ilikuwa na meno na makucha. Tumepigwa na tear gas wengi sana tukiwa na yeye.
Kura tunaelewa siko mfuko ya wenyewe. Huwezi ukaitoa kinguvu, unaitoa tu kwa kuongea kwa upole, kwa kujieleza, ndivyo watu waweze kusikia.
Raila promised that his administration will end the culture of handouts by politicians, which he said has impoverished Kenyans. Nancy Okware, Prime Edition.
And as the country heads towards the August 9th poll, the government is tonight urging business firms and the private sector to resist blackmail as well as extortion disguised as protection money by rogue politicians. Interior Cabinet Secretary Dr. Fred Matiang'i says intelligence agencies are aware that politicians are extorting donations from prominent businessmen in exchange of alleged protection in the next government. Matiang'i has assured business owners of their security and that of their business before as well as after the general election. Gladys Mungai is on that report.
The sector credit growth and liquidity.
Interior CS Dr. Fred Matiang'i has called on politicians to be ambassadors of peace and keep the country above their political interests.
We have no evidence at all that we are going to have any problem of any kind. We ask our brothers and sisters who are on the campaign trail, who are seeking leadership, to remember their citizenship responsibility and duty. This is our only home on earth. Let us not incite anyone, and let's be here. Kenya is here today. We have only been given a responsibility to run the affairs of the country now.
Matiang'i says law enforcement officers are ready to help IEBC conduct peaceful general election with 2,720 new vehicles procured to enhance mobility and response of security officers.
When you look at the number of incidents that we are dealing with at this point compared to the number of incidents we were dealing with in 2017, we are at less than a quarter of the incidents that we were dealing with in 2017, which means our country has come of age.
Matiang'i urged the business community to continue making plans and expanding their businesses and shun corrupt political merchant.
Kagua, before kuchagua. Kagua, we in the security sector know more than many of you about some of these things. And some of these people loitering around here saying things about the security sector, they actually know nothing because they don't pay attention. They have not been there, they don't bother. Actually, what I can tell you as a Kenyan public servant is that the country is fatigued. We have been campaigning for 4 years. And you in the private sector know this more than me.
It must not be a matter of life and death as we are seeing from some of the political actors. You can ask for votes without hurling insults. You can ask for votes without threats.
At the same time, the CS said the forced election campaign donations are illegal and are being used to subvert the electoral process by providing the money to bribe voters and hire crowds.
Where would you get the money? Ask this Mzee who has been in business forever. Where would you get the money to be giving people moving around the restaurant? One estate here in Nairobi, a candidate is moving around restaurants, giving people 500 shillings each. That is not your money. You know where the money is coming from. So unless we are very serious about this thing, we are going to get these characters into parliament. So, and you want them to amend your tax laws. You think they will?
You must start misusing our young people, paying them, giving them drugs so that they can heckle your opponents or they can shout your name when you stand to speak. That's not maturity. And as a sector, we'll continue talking to the politicians so that we can have hygiene in that political space.
Ruth Wamboy reporting for Prime Edition.
Well, a correction, that was Ruth Wamboy's report. Let's now look at Gladys Mungai's report, where 11 out of 55 presidential hopefuls have been kicked out after they failed to name their running mates by the 16th of May. IEBC Chair Wafula Chebukati says that as a pre-nomination requirement of the remaining 44 hopefuls have only 48 hours to present at least 2,000 signatures, both in hard as well as soft copies, including supporting documents, copies of ID cards from 24 counties to back their bids. Those who will have met the deadline will then be required to present themselves before the commission between the 29th and the 6th of June for clearance.
IEBC Chair Wafula Chebukati has allayed fears
of malpractices in the 9th of August elections. Chebukati, who was responding to concerns by independent presidential candidates that copies of their supporters' ID may be used to rig elections, claimed the commission was compliant with the Data Protection Act.
We are independent among Chapter 15 commissions, and we are only answerable to the Constitution and the law, not to any individual or authority. We cannot be controlled by the state officers you are referring to. They have no room in our boardroom or elsewhere, and we cannot allow them then to interfere with what we do. We work with the stakeholders that we need to work with. And I believe that is the position of the commission.
Chebukati, who further revealed that 11 out of 55 presidential hopefuls have been kicked out of the race for failing to submit their names of their running mates by May 16th as required. The commission says those who will have satisfied it with the pre-nomination requirement will then be required to physically present themselves for clearance between the 29th of May and June 6th.
We have also asked them to prepare for scheduling their appearances before us from the 29th of May until the 6th of June. They expected to book the times when they'll appear so that we can register them then for the main election.
The commission also says it has no powers to bar public servants from campaigns and will not prevent those with integrity issues from contesting until legal mechanisms have been exhausted.
As a referee, of course, we are expected that with the level playing field can only be level if the rules apply to everyone. So let's wait for the court case to be determined. I don't know whether we have been served as a commission, but even if we are served, for us, we shall lay the ground as it is and leave it for the court to decide.
For Prime Edition, I'm Gladys Mungai.
Story brings us to our first break. More stories coming up, including the one that is on the lips of many, the Miriam shooting drama. Stay with us.
Uchaguzi utakuja, utaenda, utakuja tena na utaenda. Kenya itabaki milele. Together we can make peace win in our elections. Not as one class, but as one nation. This message is brought to you by the government of Kenya.
Elliot and Master once talked about the avians. They said the current avian king is ambitious. He'd like to start a war with our kind. Watch out!
Good job. We tracked them all the way here, expecting to catch a few for questions.
Someday he's going to rebel and cause trouble.
We've got Mars. No need to worry.
Prince, my apologies.
Get lost.
But Prince, do you know who he is?
Welcome back. Our socials at KBC Channel 1. My Twitter handle at Mboya24, hashtag Prime Edition. Let's move on. Detectives from the Anti-Transnational Organized Crimes and the Anti-Narcotics Unit are seeking to hold for 3 more days a suspect arrested last week in possession of cocaine worth 100 million shillings. According to the letter presented before Shanzu Senior Resident Magistrate Florence Masharia, the unit says it needs time to trace Nuru Marshid's accomplices who are still at large. Here's that report.
According to the prosecutor Anthony Musyoka, during the operation, the sleuths recovered a powdered substance believed to be cocaine, carefully packaged in 35 sachets and concealed in suitcases. During the operation, the multi-agency team was also able to recover 2 mobile phones from the suspect.
Working to ensure that it's done on time. And in that respect, we are praying for 3 days, that is custody days, that the respondent hearing shall be placed at Fort Police Station to ensure full cooperation with the IOM as it proceeds with its investigations.
The respondent's lawyer, Eugene Wangira, complained about the manner in which his client was arrested and moved around Mombasa town, taking into account she is 2 months pregnant.
So that the IO needs to weigh and sample the consignment that was allegedly recovered from the respondent. However, unfortunately, you have not been told how the respondent's freedom will affect the weighing and sampling of these substances. If she has to be present during the said exercise, she can do so while on bond.
The police are seeking 3 more days to track down the accomplice said to have been working with Nur Burshid. The police also want to use the grace period to verify if indeed the substance is cocaine. However, Senior Resident Magistrate Florence Masharia gave DCI 2 more days to complete the investigations and ordered the accused person to be presented before the court on Wednesday, 25th May, year 2022. Michael Moniga for Prime Edition, Mombasa County.
Dennis Karani Gashoki, that's the man identified by the Directorate of Criminal Investigations as the key suspect in the shooting of a man in Mirema last week, has surrendered himself to the DCI. Dennis has denied involvement in the execution of Samuel Mugota, a man accused by police of running a criminal gang. Dennis has, however, admitted to knowing Mugota, saying that they have been business associates since the year 2015. Here is that report.
In a wanted poster which was circulated last Friday on social media, investigators said they had identified Dennis Karani Gashoki as the main suspect in the killing of Samuel Mugota in Mirema Drive. Mugota was slain in broad daylight in a gangland style of execution. According to the police, the 2 business partners had fallen out leading to the murder of Mugo. However, Karani, who says he has known the man for more than 3 years, claims he does not own a gun and does not belong to any criminal gang.
Talking of something like a gun, mimi mara ya mwisho hata sijaiona gun. Mimi gun ni kuona ni naonanga na askari. Sijaiguza gun na mikono yangu. So I'm wondering now, how dangerous am I? We are together here. Can you say as if I'm a dangerous person?
Karani says he was shocked after seeing a poster circulating on social media that he was a key suspect in the Mirema Drive killing.
Actually, mimi nimekuwa yani uwezi ongea hadi watu wameshtuka, familia wanashindwa kwani what's happening? Watu wameshtuka, wa familia wote wameshtuka, wanashindwa kunaendeleaje. Everyone is worried because actually being connected to Amanda is not an easy thing.
Speaking at the DCI headquarters, Karani said he last met and spoke to Mugota in 2021.
Mimi niliona hata wakisema sijui nilionekana Band Forest. I have not been there. Mimi kufika hizo maili za Band Forest hata siwezi kumbuka mara ya mwisho ilikuwa lini. Sijui naona wakisema niko mafitoni, sijui naenda sijui neighboring country. Mimi nimekuwa Nakuru.
Police say Mugota was behind a vicious gang of men and women dragging revelers and robbing victims of their money and valuables. Frederick Mwoki for Prime Edition.
Let's now get an update on the COVID situation. And now 32 more people have tested positive for COVID-19 in Kenya from a sample size of 1,446 tested over the last 24 hours. The positivity rate now stands at 2.2%. Total confirmed positive cases stand at 324,274. As of the 22nd of May 2022, a total of 18 million vaccines have been administered countrywide. 6,193 of the vaccines were administered in the last 24 hours, bringing the proportion of the population that is fully vaccinated to 30.8%. Data from Johns Hopkins University COVID Resource Center shows that over 525 million COVID-19 infections have been confirmed globally, with over 6.3 million deaths being reported, sadly, since the pandemic struck. Moving on, the Directorate of Criminal Investigations has dismissed terrorism guidelines launched by the Office of Public Prosecutions, terming them clandestine and aimed at certain people. In an affidavit through Chief Inspector Martin Otieno, the DCI notes its exclusion in the drafting of the guidelines and only being notified of the validation through social media. Here is the report.
In a replying affidavit to a petition by activist member Ocharo, who's opposing the guidelines by the Office of Public Prosecution, the Director of Criminal Investigation has dismissed the guidelines, terming them unconstitutional. In an affidavit through Chief Inspector Martin Otieno, the DCI says they were never consulted in the formulation. They are clandestine and can create disharmony among Kenyans.
The DCI has disowned the guidelines. The DCI has said those guidelines are unconstitutional.
Now, this goes against the Constitution of Kenya, where both bodies, being independent and not exercising any sovereignty over each other, have been separated with independent, and everyone's function is clearly outlined.
Has misunderstood his role or his participation in anti-terror offenses. Mr. Nuruddin Haji, or the Director of Public Prosecution, is not to be involved in investigations of terror-related offenses. In any event, Mr. Nuruddin Haji should just stick to his role and responsibility as prescribed under Article 157 of the Constitution.
The DCI further says they were notified of the validation through social media in a press release. The guidelines set by the ODPP say state agencies, civil society, the ATPU must notify the prosecutor when the unit is gathering evidence against a suspect and intending to make an arrest unless there are exceptional circumstances. Meanwhile, anti-graft crusader John Githongo will now pay former Internal Security Minister Christopher Murungaru 10 million shillings after a 3-judge bench reduced the amount from 27 million shillings. Murungaru had sued Githongo for causing the publication of a dossier linking him to corruption. Finally, Alvin Shivondo, the man arrested twice for stealing at a local supermarket, will be taken to Mathare Hospital for counseling. Alvin made headlines weeks ago when he was arraigned for shoplifting, got bailed out, only to be rearrested last Friday for attempting to steal again. Serafina Robi for Prime Edition.
Now, the high cost associated with treatment of cancer in rural parts of Kenya, where a majority of the population live below the poverty line, has seen medical practitioners as well as doctors come up with mechanisms of making cancer treatment accessible and affordable to all. At a lakeside hospital, that's Migori County, doctors have devised a means to reach their patients virtually and suggest possible line of treatment for cancer, something that has lifted the burden off the shoulders of those seeking medication for cancer.
Mary Olo was first diagnosed with breast cancer in 2020. She was baffled by the colossal amount needed to treat the disease.
Sasa kama mimi hawezi pata hiyo pesa yote, saa ingine mimi taweza kuja na kidogo, na hiyo kidogo si mzuri. Lazima nitafute tu ili itose ndio nikuje nayo. Na sasa kama kuna saa ingine mimi taweza kuama.
She fails to get money at the right time, because normally we want them to, at least we buy the drugs before they come. But then at times it is very difficult for her. It's a challenge. Just the way you heard from her that she sold her land for her to be treated, and now that money is already over, she needs to get another amount of which she doesn't know where it is going to come from.
Mary, who hails from Oyugis in Kasipul within Homa Bay County, says she contemplated ignoring her doctor's advice and count her days, but the exacerbation of pain pushed her to seek further medical attention in Migori County.
Sasa mimi nakisa kuja hapa mara pili. Hii leo ni ya tatu. Na hiyo ya pili Mimi nakisaona tofauti. Kama mimi naanza kutembea, wakati hiyo likuwa mimi hapana tembea. Wakati hiyo likuwa mimi nakisakuwa kama kitu kichwa yangu naenda pande hii, hawezi ngalia pande hii mzuri.
But not every cancer patient makes it to the hospital.
Patients who don't necessarily need to stay within the hospital, but through the system of the telemedicine, we are able to see them from a distance. We are able to get them installed into, specifications, specified apps that are installed in their phone devices or any other device that can enable them to reach us remotely, so that the patients can be seen by our health professionals.
Through telemedicine, the facility can connect to medical experts and oncologists around the globe to discuss and find possible solutions to the various cancer-related ailments.
With us systems that are made of cameras. These cameras, we use them to view the actual part of the body part of the body that the doctor wants to examine.
However, little technological know-how and poor network connectivity have posed a challenge to many who are forced to travel long distances for medication. Paul Olik, the director of non-communicable diseases at the Migori County Referral Hospital, said despite the high number of cancer cases reported annually, majority face numerous challenges, thus ending up defaulting from medication. All patients undergoing cancer treatment at the Surrey Lakeside Hospital have been enrolled to their remote diagnostic system. Mary Olo is one among thousands of Kenyans battling non-communicable diseases in the counties. She says that technological advancements can be a game changer in the diagnosis and treatment of such ailments. Beatrice Getonyang-Etich, Prime Edition.
Now, she is one of the few female politicians to ever have their names on the presidential ballot right here in Kenya, one of the first 3 female governors in the county, proving that indeed she is a staple in Kenyan politics. In this week's edition of the Cabinet, we focus on the 4-time Kitui Central Member of Parliament, Charity Kaluki Ngilu.
Charity Kaluki Ngilu, born on the 25th of January 1952 in Mboya, Makueni district, became one of only 5 women in Kenya's parliament in 1992, following her election as Kitui Central Member of Parliament on a Democratic Party ticket. In December 1997 general election, she was re-elected to Parliament on a Social Democratic Party ticket SDP, but lost her bid for presidency.
Kenyans want to see new leadership in place, and that is why they are giving me this support. And I do believe that Kenyans also now believe in what I've been saying and believe that we can remove the current leadership.
Ngilu would in 2002 join the National Party of Kenya, which became part of the National Rainbow Coalition NARC that won opposition leader Mwai Kibaki the presidency. It was in the same election that Ngilu was elected to Parliament for a third time to represent Kitui Central in Parliament. In 2003, President Kibaki appointed Ngilu the Minister of Health, a post she served until 2007. On October 5th, 2007, Ngilu announced her support for the Orange Democratic Movement and its presidential candidate Raila Odinga in the December 2007 general election. Ngilu would be re-elected to represent Kitui Central for 4th time in December 2007. Following the disputed election that saw the formation of a grand coalition, Ngilu was appointed Minister for Water and Irrigation, where she served from 2008 until 2013. In the 2013 general election, Ngilu vied for the Kitui County senatorial seat but lost to David Musila. Following Uhuru Kenyatta's victory in the 2013 presidential election, Ngilu was appointed Cabinet Secretary for Lands, Housing and Urban Development. She resigned from the cabinet 2 years later amid corruption allegations. After 2 years in the cold, Charity Kaluki Ngilu would give elective politics another shot, this time successfully vying for the Kitui gubernatorial seat. Ahead of the 2022 general election, Ngilu became part of the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya alliance, backing the Raila Odinga Martha Karua ticket in the August 9th general election.
Boresha maisha na bima. Kuwa na mipango mbadala ya sintofahamu za maisha. Gharama za ghafla za matibabu zinaweza kutatiza udhabiti wako wa kifedha. Bima ya matibabu hukupa utulivu wa akili. Wazawidi wapendao hakikisho la maisha mazuri na bima ya gharama zao za matibabu. Pata bima ili kuhakikisha yote yatakuwa sawa.
Do you have a news story to share with KBC? Get in touch swiftly on email news@kbc.co.ke or call 0723-892-654 or 0734-780-124.
All sued them, and they were like, you used our material, we need to be paid for it, you know, we weren't asked, there was no consent, so how about we just to sort.
Ndio ilifanya nikajua my power ya kuwrite, so I can perform, if I'm not wrong, 3 hours or 3 hours 30 minutes my own composition.
This song is dope. These guys are back.
They are back.
Napozama kwa tatizo oja, ngori na bala haziwezi kwa reality. Kya when me life stay away oja, captain of my life, father steer me back to sanity.
Good evening and thank you for staying with Prime Edition here on Channel 1. Time now to do the business news. My name is Betty Kiptum. Now you will have access to free internet in your ward by the end of this year, following plans by the government to set up 25,000 Wi-Fi hotspots to foster innovation and enhance delivery of public service. Government spokesperson, retired Colonel Cyrus Oguna, says the country already has a 90% internet connectivity rate and plans to provide 100,000 kilometers of fiber optic network within the next 10 years. However, infrastructure vandalism remains a live challenge.
The government has so far automated 300 public services, enabling Kenyans to access vital documents without physically visiting public offices. Government spokesperson spokesperson, retired Colonel Cyrus Oguna, says the government is deploying the necessary infrastructure to enable Kenyans easily access free internet in even the most remote areas by setting up internet hotspots in public areas such as government offices, public schools and Huduma centers.
The government is very, very concerned about internet penetration, not only to provide a platform for innovation, but also to make this country be an attractive investment destination.
ICT Authority Acting CEO Paul Rono says 200 public schools have been connected with the internet, with a target of connecting all public schools that will serve as hotspot centers within the next 3 years. He, however, says the high cases of vandalism is setting the efforts back.
If we have in every center, every business space, every public space, we have accessible internet services through the normal Wi-Fi, then everybody will sort of get engaged, and every village will be able to access this free infrastructure and then be able to do the necessary business with it.
There's a lot of infrastructure in place, both for private and public sector. So as a result of that, I plead to Kenyans, let us take care of this infrastructure.
The ICT Authority plans to increase community innovation hubs to 1,450 that would create jobs to over 10,000 youth, as well as train 100,000 software engineers to take advantage of the lucrative software and application development market.
Our immediate target is to target areas with public-facing services that are offered to Mwananchi, so that there's an immediate value derived from the giving this free Wi-Fi.
A promise of internet connectivity to Kenyans in even the most remote of places to ensure that the youth can take advantage of the digital market. Hibak Said for Prime Edition.
Thank you, Hibak Said, for that report. Now, Kenya and Uganda have rolled out a program aimed at addressing bottlenecks weighing on cross-border travel. Kenya is banking on her popularity among Ugandan visitors to market and boost her standing as an ideal tourist destination. Uganda is Kenya's second top tourist source market after the United States of America.
Statistics from the Tourism Research Institute indicate that in 2021, the United States was Kenya's top tourist source market with 136,981 tourists, followed by Uganda at 80,067, then Tanzania with 74,051 tourists, while the United Kingdom and India are the fourth and fifth tourist markets at 53,264 and 42,159 visitors respectively.
Post-COVID, also the client mindset has changed. People are looking for new experiences. People are looking at more of outdoor. So what we can say that will be an additional advantage. Like now we have been told about the bird species that we have in Uganda. They may not be necessarily what we have here. And just having an outdoor experience, even the rafting and all that, is therapeutic in itself.
So we Kenyans can come to Uganda for whitewater rafting, bungee jumping. There's a zillion activities that you can partake in.
Kenyan tour operators have partnered with the Ugandan Tourism Board under an initiative dubbed Explore Uganda, aimed at boosting inter-regional travel. The campaign involves over 278 operators from Kenya who will create business linkages with 35 operators from Uganda.
Kenya, being a country that receives visitors from diverse places, UTB thinks and Uganda believes that targeting this market is a good springboard for visitors to come to Kenya and continue to Uganda. To come to Kenya from East Africa, from Africa and from the world, and proceed to Uganda.
They are calling for harmonization of travel processes at the various points of entry to boost cross-border tourism within the East African community. They argue that the impact of the 90-day joint tourist visa that entitles holders to travel within Kenya, Rwanda and Uganda is yet to be felt. Regina Manyar reporting for Prime Edition.
Now, Kenya Airways is carrying out an economic viability assessment on direct flights to Israel as Kenya seeks to increase exports to the Middle East nation. Trade Cabinet Secretary Betty Maina says Kenya and Israel have signed a horticultural produce export agreement.
Is at an advanced stage of resuming direct flights to Israel after a 2-decade suspension. Israel suspended direct flights from Kenya after a failed terrorist attack on an Israeli airline in Mombasa. Trade Cabinet Secretary Betty Maina says direct flights might resume soon as the national carrier is carrying out an economic viability assessment.
Now we think that it's time to also restart our direct flights, and Kenya Airways has been in conversation with their counterparts in Israel in that regard.
Direct flights between Nairobi and Jerusalem are expected to boost trade and tourism after the two nations last week signed agreements including horticultural exports directly to Israel, as opposed to the current scenario that involves third parties.
I think that they should be able to import that directly from Kenya rather than through third parties, because a lot of their flowers they will get from Netherlands, but they actually came from Kenya. We should actually open lines of direct trade.
Last year, Kenya exported goods worth 890 million shillings to Israel, and imports were worth 5.2 billion shillings. Benson Ruba reporting for Prime Edition.
And Kenya will be pushing for integration of coffee as an anchor commodity in the African Union during the upcoming African Coffee Summit later this week. The meeting that brings together more than 25 coffee-growing countries in Africa is expected to craft various strategies for deepening coffee production and intra-African export. Kenya is also expected to use the meeting to restore its status as the center of coffee research and technological hub of coffee trading in Africa.
Statistics from the Inter-African Coffee Organization indicates that for the last 5 years, only 58,424 tons of clean coffee have been exported to 11 countries within Africa. This has been blamed on logistical challenges and low consumption of coffee in Africa, which accounts for a significant portion of global coffee produced in the world. To deepen the coffee trade within Africa, 25 heads of states and governments from coffee-producing countries in Africa are expected to converge in Nairobi for 2 days to sign the Nairobi Declaration. The summit, dubbed Sustainable Development and Economic Growth in the African Coffee Sector, will seek to make a consensus for integrating coffee as an anchor commodity in the African Union in harmony with the Africa Union Agenda 2063. Organizers say the summit, dubbed G25 African Coffee Summit, will also link coffee producers and marketers with other buyers from around the world. Coffee is a major socio-economic player in Africa, contributing billions of dollars in foreign exchange to the African economy and supporting an estimated 10 million people on the continent. Kenya has been a member of the Inter-Africa Coffee Organization since 1960, when IACO membership was 11 states, which has now grown to 25 states today. Coffee is the second most traded commodity in the world after oil.
That's all the business we had for you. Sports news is coming up with Karen Kibet. But first, here is the Forex report.
As campaign intensified for the upcoming general election, what does all this mean for you, the voter? What do the candidates have to offer? How prepared are agencies charged with the election process? Join John Kuria and Safina Chieng on Kenya Decides. This and every Tuesday from 10 p.m. on KBC Channel 1 as we unpack elections 2022 with a panel of various stakeholders. Make informed electoral decisions.
Welcome back. Thank you for keeping it KBC Prime Edition. Let's now take a look at what's making headlines in the world of sports. My name is Karen Kibet. Now, the reigning Kenyan champions, Prisons Kenya, registered their second win at the ongoing Africa Women's Volleyball Club Championship after humbling Ethiopia's national alcohol by 3 straight sets in Kelibia, Tunisia. The JOSP Baraza charges, led by veteran Braxidis Agala, Laureen Chebet, Anne Lowen and Meldine Sunday, won the first set 25-10 before bagging the second set 25-17. Prisons Kenya won the third set 25-9 to register their second straight sets win at the championship. Prisons Kenya trounced CNS Spikers of Nigeria by 3 straight sets in their opening match on Sunday. In another match, Ndeje University saw off ASEC Mimosa by 3 straight sets. KCB, Prisons Kenya and Kenya Pipeline are representing Kenya at the Continental Showpiece. The FKF Transition Committee Chairperson, retired Justice Aaron Ringera, has appealed to all football stakeholders to come together to review the FKF Constitution in order to rescue the current situation of Kenyan football. Ringera also stated that the crisis will come to an end if the matter is taken and solved seriously.
Speaking to stakeholders of various football clubs in the country, the chairman of the FKF Transition Committee, retired Justice Aaron Ringera, pointed out that the purpose of the meeting was to resolve the issue of football in the country.
You are aware that the business of the former FKF Caretaker Committee, as well as the Transitional Committee, is to manage Kenyan football on a day-to-day basis and to lay a firm foundation for its development and growth.
Ringera also added that the Transition Committee will hold meetings with coaches, managers and head of all clubs across the country to ensure that they can amend the current constitution in order to save football players in the country.
Nothing is a better bedrock of football management and development going forward than a good constitution.
Kenya was banned by the World Football Governing Body FIFA earlier this year and will not be able to participate in any international competition until they have resolved their concerns. For Prime Edition Sports, I'm Daniel Mwendwa.
Thank you, Dan, for that report. Kenya Junior Rally ace Makwe Kimathi finished the Portugal Rally without any incident on Sunday after suffering a car trouble in a span of 2 days on Friday and Saturday. The 27-year-old, who had a minor accident on Friday, is in the 8th stage, was hoping for better fortunes on Saturday, but he had to stop 3 kilometers in the stage when he realized there was a problem in his Ford vehicle. On the final day, he completed all the 5 stages without any problem. The Kenyan changed navigators for this year's rally, replacing Mwangi Kioni with Stuart London for the 3rd round of the World Junior Rally Championships. He traveled to Portugal after competing in the Pearl of Africa Rally in Uganda.
Right now, I think I should go home, relax a little bit, and then we'll see. There's a rally in Poland that I might be doing in July, not in June 10th, 11th, for the European Rally Championship, just to get me prepped up for Rally Estonia in July. So yeah.
Just to try over the weekend to improve his knowledge of WRC rallies, how to work with the tyres, how to work with the pace notes, and how to work with his pace as well, and try and increase the pace as the weekend's gone on. And yeah, there's been a lot of small things that we've had to work on during the weekend, but we've managed to get through these.
The second pre-Commonwealth badminton tournament will be held on the 28th and 29th of May, a week after the first that was held over the weekend. The first trials will be held on 11th and 12th of June, with the second being held on the 25th and 26th of June ahead of the game set for Birmingham from the 28th of July to the 8th of August.
Kenya badminton players had their first tournament that will lead up to their Commonwealth Games trials over the weekend in Nairobi. The tournament, which attracted a total of 97 players, both male and female, saw the players put their best foot forward, with everyone aiming to make it to the quarter-final stage, a sport that will see them make it to the trials. The series will eventually have 8 males and females going on to battle it in the national trials to be held in June. The ladies category saw a heated competition between Marion Gotho of Jomo Kenyatta University and Faith Musengier of Kenyatta University, Marion winning 2-1. In the men's category, John Wanyoike edged out Edwin Waithaka by the same margin as Fabian Derrick overcame Stephen Gathungu in 2 straight sets.
Thank you, Bansi, for that report. And finally, Manchester City secured their 4th Premier League title in 5 seasons last night after winning the league by a point over challengers Liverpool with a stunning 3-2 comeback victory against Aston Villa on the final day at the Etihad Stadium.
Now gets to the byline, cross comes in, it's a good one.
Manchester City were crowned Premier League champions after fighting back to beat Aston Villa 3-2 on the final day at Etihad Stadium.